Joining us now is Radley Balko. He's a Washington Post columnist. He's a policing expert and author of Rise of the Warrior Cop, the militarization of America's police forces. Rodney, good to see you. Thank you for being with us tonight. I want you to help us through some of the stuff that we've been hearing. Today in a press conference, Victor Escalon, the South Texas Regional Director of the Department of Public Safety, he was the person that our viewers were just watching in those videos, was asked why the police officers didn't storm the fourth grade classroom that the suspect had entered, why they didn't do it sooner. And he said, that's a tough question. Authorities were still gathering information on what the answer is to that. They don't have an answer. Talk to me about the protocol for police. Has it changed since, let's say, Columbine, in which police go and actively confront shooters? We've seen that happen more than what we seem to have seen here, this perimeter set up and them waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, so over the last 5 or 10 years, we've seen the protocol change where instead of waiting for a tactical team or a SWAT team, the first responding officers are supposed to go in. And a lot of departments, we've seen those officers have sort of bigger guns, which in a lot of cases they're told to keep in the trunk of their patrol cars and only take them out in situations like this. And so that has been kind of the standard training that police officers around the country have gotten since, we've really seen an uptick in mass shootings. But, this was a failure. I mean, you're right. There are lots of different narratives right now. The story from the police keeps changing by the hour, which in itself is a problem. But the town has a SWAT team. And, those of us who have criticized the proliferation of SWAT teams into towns, the size of just about 16,000 people, we say, why does a town that small need a SWAT team? And the response is always, this is exactly the reason why these towns claim that they need to have a SWAT team. And yet it took over an hour for this shooter to be confronted. It took over 40 minutes after he was in the classroom, and it wasn't the Uvalde SWAT team that confronted him. It was Customs and Border Patrol. So why have the SWAT team if you're not going to use it? Why spend 40% of your town budget on policing if in a situation like this where people need the police the most, not only do they not get the protection that they wanted, they get harassed and they get threatened because, they care about their kids. They want to know what happened to their kids.
Talk to me about this Customs and Border Patrol tactical team that did ultimately get here and shoot the killer. You're a specialist in why these police end up as heavily armed as they are, as militarized as they are. Why Customs and Border Patrol? Why are they as heavily armed as they were, and why would they have been called into this?
So first, let's give them credit. They stopped the shooter. They act heroically and bravely, and they did what needed to be done once they got there. And I'm talking particularly about the Customs and Border Patrol team. This is a team or a unit within Customs and Border Patrol that has a pretty nasty reputation. We've learned a lot about them during the George Floyd protests when they were deployed to handle some of the protests. But in this case, they performed pretty heroically. I think those of us who think that SWAT is overused and that police are over militarized, you do need a tactical team to be able to respond to these kinds of situations. And if you're not going to have them in every small town and every county sheriff's department, which I don't think you should, you do need regional teams that can respond, whether it's the state police, whether it's, a federal agency. So, I think in this case, they performed bravely and heroically. They took the shooter out. They stopped him from continuing to kill people. But I still think, if you're a resident of the town, you have to ask, why are we spending 40% of our budget on policing? Why do we have a SWAT team? Why do we have a SWAT team that was actually trained, actually visited the local schools to learn the layout of the schools? They visited in full tactical gear. They went to the schools in February and took tours and posted on Facebook how they were learning about the sort of the layout of the schools, local schools. So what happened? Why weren't they deployed? And the answer is that it's a part-time SWAT team. A full third of the department is on the SWAT team, well, of about a third. I guess it's 11 out of about 35 members. And, when you have a part-time SWAT team, you can't deploy on a moment's notice. Well, then why have one at all? And what you inevitably find is that they're used to serve drug warrants. That's primarily how they're used. They're not used for their primary justification, which is an event like this.
Radley, thanks for your analysis. We always appreciate it. Radley Balko is a Washington Post columnist, policing expert. We appreciate your time tonight.